Kylie, and a lot has happened this year. I graduated from MIT with a bachelor's of science, majoring in physics, and, well, that was a real journey. Applied to many fellowships and grad schools, and got into one fellowship, and got into a couple grad schools, so that was good. The fellowship I got into was Fulbright, so later I'll probably make a video on the process of applying to Fulbright and how I got accepted, hopefully. And that was amazing news. Fulbright's really been the culmination of all of my hard work over these past many years of my life, so that was a great piece of news to hear. Reflecting back on my time at MIT, I thought of 5 lessons to share with y'all that I learned during that time, so let's get started. Number 1 is that networking is really important in order to be successful. So no matter what aspect of life your passion or career or goals center around, networking really can help you become successful in that aspect. So for me, I want to really become an astrophysicist, and that involves going through this long, perilous train through academia. Academia especially requires a lot of networking. One, because getting into grad school, you need to know a lot of different professors at different schools. That'll really boost your chances. But also, when you become a grad student and then are applying to postdocs, I heard that you should be really well known in your field already, and that is often the case that programs will reach out to you to become a postdoc there. So even as you keep going on more and more through the levels of academia, networking becomes really important. But also, like, finding jobs in other fields, whether that be programming or maybe a PM or in music or sports. All of these things require knowing people, and knowing really, substantial people in your field will really help you and will probably lead to your success in that field. So that was the first lesson I learned at MIT. It's worthwhile to note that it was really amazing for me to get to go to a school like MIT that is world-renowned, because all the professors and people I interacted with there have kind of a standing already in their fields. And so just by having their recommendation letters, I had a foothold up compared to maybe some other people who had similar stats to me. So in my opinion, that's actually one of probably the best things about going to a top university like MIT. The education you'll get, like the classes and stuff, could be a little bit better, but they're teaching the same material often, if they're not like advanced level classes, like basic calculus or physics. The stuff they teach there can be learned online at this rate. Like a lot of the classes they have at MIT actually are online for free through MITx. So learning those things isn't really the point of going to a top college like MIT. I think the connections that you have there and the people that you get to know are the most important thing that comes out of that. Lesson number 2 that I learned at MIT, or rather, I kind of already knew this before I entered MIT, but it was really emphasized by meeting new people and spending time with others that were different than me at MIT. This lesson is that it's really important for your success and for really your overall satisfaction with life to identify what your self-driving force is. For me, I am really passionate about astronomy. And so when I pursue that goal of mine to become an astrophysicist, it brings satisfaction and joy and meaning to my life. And I'm able to make decisions in the long term as well as the short term based around that driving force of mine. And so I've seen at MIT even a lot of individuals who seem really lost. They don't know what major they should be in because they don't know where they want to go in life. They keep switching majors even, making it even harder for them to graduate. They don't know what kinds of internships or some other summer activities that they should even apply for, let alone like try and be successful at. They don't know what kind of extracurricular activities they should really dive into during college. These kinds of things are very difficult decisions for them, and they may jump around from one to one with never really going deep into one. That can really hurt your chances at getting into grad school or other opportunities, because oftentimes these applications that deal with grad school or these other larger potential future opportunities, they rely on you having these deeper experiences and gaining skills like leadership and maybe even having some sort of projects to show from being in these experiences, whether they be a club or for example, an RU, which is a research experience for undergraduates, I think. All of these things, they want you to write about the projects or the experiences you had in them, not just have them listed. So these people who jump around from activity to activity but never really diving into them don't really have much to say out of them. Being able to figure out what really drives you and really kind of pursue that really is beneficial, I think, in college. So whether you discover that in college or beforehand, I think that's a really good thing to do, and that will really help you be successful in college as well as beyond. Of course, college is meant to really set you up to be successful beyond college, so figuring that out early in college or even beforehand, which is even better, could really make college even more helpful for you in that regard, because you can really focus on that passion or that driving force and get the most out of it, like make the most progress towards the long-term goals that you set for yourself that involve that passion or that drive that you have. Lesson number 3 was that, and this is a hard one to really hit me, I think it still hasn't, is that grades do not matter as much as actual real life experience. And as someone who grew up with perfect straight A's throughout elementary, middle, and high school, coming into college and being faced with really hard course material and classes that I just could not get A's in, just no matter how much I worked at the homework and stuff like that, it really hit hard for me. And it was hard to kind of get over that sense of self-worth that was surrounding grades. I was lucky enough to meet and get to know people who really try to instill this belief within me that grades do not define who I am. And I'd like to kind of share this with y'all. So especially in college, no matter what path of life you choose after college, I think there are very few that are going to care if you get a B or C or even fail one of your classes, as long as you show that you have the necessary experiences that are involved with that specific path. So, for example, even if you fail one of your core classes that are involved with the life experience that you choose, so for example, I'm wanting to go to grad school for astrophysics, and if I failed one of my major astrophysics classes, it probably wouldn't matter very much because I'd have to retake one of those to graduate anyway, so I'd have to pass it eventually. And I had plenty of research experience to back it up that I was okay with going into this field. So in that way, the experience I got, the research experience, the relevant recommendation letters that I got, etc., all of these things that have to do with real life, with networking, as I mentioned earlier, with these soft skills like communication, leadership, all of these things matter much more than the simple letter grade on your transcript. And of course, like all of us having grown up in grade school, dealing with, all sorts of parents or teachers or whoever breathing down your neck, being like, you need to get straight A's or whatever, it's going to be hard. Like, it's easy to just tell you this, but it's very hard to break that mindset. And I guess, I'm still working on it, even though I'm, sharing this knowledge with you guys or whatever, imparting this wisdom. So I'm kind of just, sharing this with myself as well. So yeah, I guess, in the end, just realize and try and tell yourself, over time, hopefully it'll become true for you and you'll really feel it, that grades and that letters on your transcript really don't define who you are and what you're good at. All right, number 4. The 4th lesson that I learned and took away from college is that you should really try and surround yourself with people who you really connect with, and connect with essentially in a very positive way. So I guess I learned this the hard way, and I'm here to tell you that you don't have to. Basically, in my freshman year of college, I went through a lot of drama, and I guess I don't know why, but I really wanted to put myself into that drama I guess maybe I really wanted to affect it somehow, but I learned the hard way that drama, you can't really control it. It kind of just takes you along for the ride, for better or for worse. And especially for someone like me who just put myself right smack dab in the middle, it didn't really turn out that well. Yeah, I went through a lot of really terrible drama in my freshman year. That kind of continued into my sophomore year. So after my sophomore year, I decided to myself I would cut out all of the drama in my life. And that meant cutting out a lot of the people in my life. as you may guess, you meet a lot of new people in college, and it's easy to kind of get a lot of new acquaintances and then eventually get a lot of new friends, maybe a lot of people you're hanging out with. I don't know about you, but my parents told me that I make my best friends in college. The people I get to know in college are going to be the people who are going to stay with me the rest of my life. And TBH, after leaving college, I don't really think that's the case. I left college with maybe 1 or 2 friends. I honestly think that's really okay. How did that happen after, I don't know, getting to meet so many people and acquaintances? It's because I cut a lot of those people who I thought kind of didn't bring a lot to my life or were even worse, negative, bringing down my life in certain ways. I cut a lot of them out. And also, I also thought to myself, who do I really contact the most? Who do I really hang out the most? Or rather, who do I admire the most? Who do I feel the most positively about? Who brings the most positivity to my life? Those kinds of questions. And I think to myself, keeping those friends, only the positive ones, during college probably would have benefited me a lot more than the Kylie who went smack dab right into the drama, regardless of who was there, just because she wanted to. So I think being able to do that is my piece of advice. Maybe don't do it at the end, kind of like I did. Constantly be asking yourself, is this person who I'm interacting with, are they constantly talking about negative things? Are they bringing constant negativity into my life in other ways? Really be asking yourself that, and I think you'll cut yourself a lot of the trouble that I went through. The 5th lesson that I learned in college that I want to share with y'all is that, this is one piece of advice that my parents gave me that I do kind of believe in now, is that you should try a lot of new things during that time, that period of your life. Most of the people who are in college are in their 20s, etc., or I guess you graduate high school around 18, so 18 to 22, this kind of range. That's kind of the range of your life where you're really developing mentally and you're learning a lot about yourself and your interests and most importantly, what you're good and you're bad at. A lot of the things that are really important to figure out during college are things like, how best do you learn? How do you even answer this question without trying lots of different ways of learning that you couldn't during high school? Right? During high school, you were expected to just listen to the teacher, do the homework problems that she or he was assigning. Maybe there were a couple labs in science, but were they really real labs? Let's be honest. Very strict sets of learning experiences. In college, you go to lecture, maybe you have a textbook, maybe you have certain homework, but you have all this free time to explore what method really clicks with you. And so you can try things like, I don't know, recording lectures, if they're not recorded by the school. At MIT, they often were. Recording the lectures and re-listening to them later. You could experiment with reading through the textbook early, before the lecture to see if it would help you, or maybe after to reinforce the material. You can experience with, does highlighting work better, or rewriting notes work better for you? Does writing notes in a certain way work better for you? All of these things are ways that you could experience, learning how you learn best. Learning how you learned is pretty essential to, I guess, help boost your productivity later in life, because, if you want to learn a new skill and you know exactly the best way you learn, then learning that skill will probably be 2 or 3 times as easier than if you were just to shovel it down your throat in the traditional manner you learned in grade school. So, learning how you learn by trying all of these new things is very important. We can use this lesson of trying new things to apply to all sorts of things. So, for example, you could learn that you like certain extracurricular activities that you'd never heard of. In college, there are often clubs for all sorts of stuff. For example, there was like a caving club at MIT where they went and explored caves together. There was rock climbing. There was fire spinning. All of these cool things that honestly I'd never heard of before that. So being able to try all of those things, I tried fire spinning once. It was really hard. Did not really enjoy it as much as I should, but I tried it, right? Learning these things about us is very helpful, right? And it also makes you a more interesting person. For example, did you know that I'm actually scuba certified, for example? At MIT, you can actually become scuba certified. So, very interesting things, and if you try them and do them a little and have some cool experiences with them, it could go on things like graduate school apps, but also makes you a more interesting person. Being a more interesting person attracts more interesting people to you, too, when you're having conversations and stuff. So, altogether, using your abundance of free time during college to try lots of new things is very beneficial, I think, for both your time during there and for your time afterwards. Yeah. So go out and try lots of new things. Well, that was 5 things that I learned during my time in college at MIT. And thanks for sitting and listening to me rant. No, not rant. And thanks for sitting and listening to me if you made it through this whole video. I hope those things were helpful and will help you if you're a high school student through your potential future through college, or if you're a current college student through your rest of your years in college. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!